Good evening, everybody. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle, right here live on TGI Sports Talk on Northeast Streaming Sports. You're watching us live somewhere, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can catch us later on Roku tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. There'll be some changes to the schedule coming up, so keep an eye on Roku. We're trying to, really get more content more often. But the channel's doing very, very well. And I also ask you to tune in. And if you get those Roku devices downloaded, you can watch a brand new show that we've been doing for about, maybe a month now. Started up on Northeast Streaming Sports. And we kind of go through the previous day's sports news and do a little commentary. It's a great show. I host it with Mac McGrath. Mac's been under the weather, and we wish Mac a speedy recovery, obviously. And I really thank Jamie Paggs, a Philly sports guy, for stepping up and helping me co-host that show each morning. And in fact, Paggs did the show alone Monday, as I had a previous commitment. I could not make the show. So thank you for that, Paggs. And welcome to everybody. I see Alan in this early today. Good evening, Alan. Alan's off work tonight. He'll get to participate with us. And I hope Alan, I hope we drive some topics tonight, because, we're getting to the dog days. We're only, how far away are we from real college football? Let's take a quick look here. I wanted to do this math before. So until we get to some real football on August 27th, what do we have? 27. We only got about 30 days, guys. Today is the 27th. We've got 30 days. How easy was that bad? That Perth education is coming in handy tonight. 30 days till real football starts, and we'll really be able to dive into some stuff. Well, tonight we're going to talk about, we're going to go around the league. I want you guys to bring up your topics, what you're interested in. Alan, certainly want your participation, and anybody else who pops in, bring up some topics. I'm going to talk a little bit about the college football expansion. The playoff expansion talks have heated up again. We'll talk a little bit about what it might mean. Unlikely that's going to happen before 2026 when the contract expires. We'll talk about why that is and what to expect when they do vote on this. We'll talk about some of the scheduling that'll be coming up, maybe who might have an easier or a tougher path to a potential playoff or big bowl games. We'll talk some Arch Manning news. Arch is no longer the number one recruit in the 23 recruiting class. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's some coaching warnings out there from Kirk Friends and even Nick Saban. And then we'll just jump around. We'll take your comments and topics, and we'll just jump around the league and have some fun here for 90 minutes as we normally do. So, listen, first thing I want to do, and good evening, Kenny. Good to have you here with us. Oh, 31. Thanks, Alan. I was all excited. I had a math question right. So, again, good evening to you, Kenny. And real quick, before we jump into our topics, I want to give our group shout out tonight. Is going to go to the sports devotee for basketball, football, boxing, baseball, soccer, UCF, pretty much any sport. And I want to give a special shout out to their admin, Rick Friedman. Rick had invited me into the group here. Gosh, I don't know. Rick can comment when he sees this on his page, hopefully, probably well over a year ago. And we're coming up on our second anniversary here on August 7th, by the way. So, again, Rick does a great job. Well over 1,000 people are members of the group now. And Rick does a great job with some great postings. And it's a really good group. So, guys, I really do encourage you to get out there, follow the group, like and follow the group, and be a member and contribute to the group. It's a great group, and I enjoy posting my stuff there. And Rick's very good about sharing my stuff. So thanks again, Rick, and all of you at the sports devotees for basketball, football, boxing, baseball, soccer, UCF, and the admin, Rick Friedman. So thanks again for that. And good morning. Good morning. Gosh, it seems like I just did the show this morning. It's been such a busy, hectic, quick day. Good evening, Mickey Delaney. Alan cannot talk his Rangers. Just got sweet. We're not going to talk baseball tonight anyway, Mickey. But listen, tune in Sunday morning because we'll be talking. Your Mariners are red hot. We're not going to get to it tonight. But God bless you. Good, they're doing a great job. And there's your Allison's reply. No baseball tonight, guys. We get plenty of baseball. Tune in. Tune into the Mickey, you only got to get up at 3 a.m. to tune in to start it up on Roku, the Northeast Streaming Sports app. So power out in the mountain. But where Kenny is, the solar's working just fine. Kenny Gifford living off the grid. Good job, Kenny. Let's keep this planet safe from guys like me. You got to do twice the work, maybe 5 times the work to make up for my carbon footprint. I can tell you that right now. Guys, where are we going to start tonight? Where do you guys want to start? I want to start with, let's see what I got here. Let's start with Arch Manning. What the hell? Right now, Arch Manning, and I want to find this story because it's really kind of interesting. Arch Manning, and look at this does not diminish Arch Manning's potential. It doesn't diminish anything to do with his recruitment or his potential success throughout his college football career and beyond. But he is no longer. I mean, he's been the number one recruit in the 2023 class for quite some time. But he's not the number one recruit anymore. As of now, and this may be since ESPN's been doing these rankings, and that's where I'm getting this from, by the way, is ESPN's recruiting tool. They've been doing this 17 years, and they think this may be the strongest quarterback class ever that they've had there. And as I said, Arch Manning is no longer the number one recruit. It is now quarterback Malachi Nelson. He goes to school out in California, and he is the highest rated recruit now. He'll be going to, well, he hasn't declared yet, I don't believe. And a lot, listen, the 2023 talk has really revolved around Arch Manning for a couple of years now, and rightfully so. He's got the pedigree, he's got the talent, and he deserves the billing that he's gotten. But there's a lot of great players out there, and there's more prospects creeping up this recruiting class list. Names that you're going to hear, like Malachi. I hope I'm saying the name right. Malachi Nelson. If I'm saying that right, it'll be a miracle, right? Dante Moore. They also merged fairly early, like Arch did, but there's others like J.J. Cole and Marcel Reed, Jackson Arnold, who flew under the radar, and now we're starting to fly up this recruiting class. And actually, Nelson has committed. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Alan, you can comment on this, but he may have been a Oklahoma recruit who moved with Lincoln Riley to USC. So interesting. That's an interesting note too. 2 quarterbacks, one of the present, one of the future, that have followed Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma to where'd he go? USC. Thank you. What's Alan got here? Rankings are just predictable. I understand that. I agree. All that matters. But you know what? We got to have something to talk about here. And recruiting is huge. These recruiting rankings are huge. And your point is really pertinent, Alan, because I talk a lot about, Jimbo Fisher's had some of the best recruiting classes in the country, including this year at Texas A&M, and has yet to even sniff an SEC championship game. So yes, but this is part of the, he's committed to USC. As I said, I do believe he had an early commitment to Oklahoma and only committed to USC after Lincoln Riley moved there. So another interesting tidbit there. So, listen, and look at there's a lot of time left in this 23 recruiting class, right? Because we don't even know that Malachi Nelson's going to end up at USC. We don't know that Arch Manning will end up at Texas. You can uncommit up to a certain point. You can hit the transfer portal before you ever go to school. We've seen a lot of that the last few years, especially if we started having these early commitments, and much, much, much more. What else we got here? Manning is signed with Texas. Yes, don't be confused by what I'm talking about here, Kenny. I know up on the mountain with no power, there's only certain number of things you can do up there. Now, Malachi Nelson is one who committed to USC. Arch Manning is still committed to Steve Garsagian at Texas. And no, my comments were, we don't know that he'll ever end up at Texas. And if I misspoke, I apologize. I think he probably will, but anything can happen. It's a long time till these kids have to report to school. They got a whole senior season ahead of them. They've got time after their senior season where they can still opt out of this. So it's just kind of interesting to look at some of these guys and some of the draft classes. I've got to check out to see whether QB1 on Netflix has got a new season, because following some of these kids around, and probably this 23 classes who, if they have a new season, this would probably be the where it would be they'd be concentrating on are these kids that are coming out in 23. So I wonder, I'm just going to take a quick look here. QB1. Crud. Hold on, guys. I just got too many things going on here at once. QB1, Netflix. Let's just see if they have a new season. I want to see who they might be spotlighting if they do. Let's see. I guess not. I mean, the last season that they had was the season that they had with Justin Fields, and we know how that turned out. And it's a really great show. If you get a chance, please get a chance. Get out there and watch it. I guess it hasn't been renewed. I think it went on hiatus during COVID, and they have not come back. So it'll be interesting to see if it does return. I enjoyed the show a lot. It really gives you an interesting look at some of these kids as they're finishing up their senior year in high school, and in a lot of cases, making a decision on where to go. Hartman from Wake Forest was another kid that was highlighted in the same season as Justin Fields, I believe. Jake Fromm was another one that was a prominent quarterback. Went to Georgia, was highlighted as well. So very interesting show. Get a chance to take a look at it. And there, all it's good here is popcorn is going on, sitting on the deck. Hope it's nice and cool up there in the mountain. It's a little warm here in the studio, so I had to turn the fan up. I hope you guys are not picking up too much of the helicopter noise. Oh, Alan, what do you got? Yes, Riley Riley leaving didn't help, but Oklahoma did retain some recruits from that debacle. Yeah, that's what happens. This is the way the game is today, Alan, and I'm sure Venable probably, and you could probably tell me better than anybody else. I'm sure Venable brought some people with him that were going to commit to Clemson. So, it always, the pendulum swings both ways in these situations. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but it's just the way it goes. So, I think it's interesting. Does it mean anything that whether Arch is the number 1 or the number 10 recruit? No, not at the end of the day. As Alan said earlier, it only matters what they do on the field. But I thought it was an interesting comment. What do you got here, Kenny? Oklahoma will get help going to the SEC. Yeah, well, for sure. So will Texas, by the way. Listen, I have no doubt in my mind that if Texas was not moving to the SEC, Arch Manning would not have committed to Texas. He'll have to play a year at least a year. I think it's just a year in the Big 12, unless that changes. I mean, the timeline could change. Texas and Oklahoma could move to the SEC earlier than expected. You saw the money that the American Association, the AAC teams paid to get out of their commitment to that league early to move to the Big 12 sooner. There's a lot money will make anything happen that you want to happen. Could make a change in a playoff. Who knows? Playing for minors for a year. Playing a minors for a year. You know, look at college football is heading towards being a minor league system for the NFL anyway. Some interesting developments, though, this past week about the playoff. Let's see. Let me take a quick look at some of this. Let me change my banner here, and you guys can certainly jump in and comment, and we'll jump anywhere you want tonight, guys. I'm kind of, again, this is going to be more like the college football stream of consciousness here tonight. We're going to jump around a lot. As we are 31 days, thank you for the correction there, Alan, from the start of college football, and I can't wait. Maybe we'll take a look at that first week's games again. So recently, the major conferences have started meeting again, and the representatives who are from those conferences, some of them are athletic directors, some are, advisors like Barry Alvarez for Wisconsin. These leagues have gotten together and started talking again about the college football playoff and the potential expansion of them from 4 to whatever number, 8, 12, 16, starting to catch the old, by the way. And interestingly enough, it's got to be unanimous to be able to move it up. The current contract expires in 26, and unless all power conference teams or leagues, I should say, approve, it's got to be unanimous. They cannot change, and that's what happened. When they voted on this past winter, I believe it was in February. I think I was on a cruise when they voted against this. The Big Ten voted no. And ironically, the Pac-12 and the ACC voted no, and now they're very sorry they did so. But the conversation has come up again because while you need a unanimous vote here to change it before 26, if you're going to vote and vote on changes post 26, majority rules. So if the Big Ten doesn't want, or whatever conference doesn't want, whatever the majority decides on, whether it be 16, 12, 8, staying at 4, going back to 2, which isn't going to happen, then you don't play in the playoff, and you lose the chance at a national championship, and you lose everything that comes with the playoff. I have great hope that they're going to get this right this time. I don't think it's going to happen early. I would love to see it. But the problem with it is I don't think you're going to get all these power conferences on the same page as far as what changes they want, which is going to keep them from voting unanimously on changing it early. Personally, I think, and again, there seems to be a momentum building towards 16 teams. And what that would look like is still up for debate. There are still people, and again, I'm going to get sued by this guy who wrote the book. I hope he sues the powers that be at the Power 5 too, by the way, when he sues me. So, but there's still some sentiment out there for the format that I talked about a lot, and not just me, by the way. So don't write me letters and threaten to sue me. Six automatic bids, and there was a couple of variations of that. One variation was the 6 highest ranked conference winners. Another variation was the 5 Power 5 conferences get 5 at-large bids, and the group of 5 get a bid for the highest ranked team. It's probably the way option 1 would work out anyway. It's highly unlikely that, well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's highly unlikely that two group of five teams would end up in that those top six spots. And Notre Dame, by the way, would have to be an at-large bid, and any independent would have to be an at-large bid. There's also sentiment out there, and that's not the one I would have got sued for. I'm sorry. The one I would have got sued for was the one I'm going to talk about now. There is still talk about a 16-team playoff with 10 automatic bids for the 10 FBS conferences and 6 at-larges. Now, I find it hard to believe that the Big Ten, the SEC, is going to go along with that when they're going to be able, I mean, that's going to cut they're expanding their conferences. It's going to be very hard for them to get as many teams in that type of field as they want. And another reason why the ACC or why the 18 playoff is also not going to go, because Notre Dame doesn't want that. They don't have, in the 14 playoff we have now, Notre Dame's got 4 shots. In a 12-team tournament, they would have 6 shots. In a 16-team tournament, they would have between 10 and 6 chances. In an 18 playoff, they'd only have 2. So Notre Dame's never going to vote for that. The SEC's probably never going to vote for that unless they're all at larges. The SEC is probably going to want as big a field as they can get, unless they're all at large bids, which, again, I don't want to see that. I really don't. I mean, who does? There's Dan Harris. Good evening, Dan. Good to have you. Good to have you on. Dan's got a great show on Let's Talk Sports. I do a show with him at 2 o'clock Fridays. Let's Talk New York Sports, where we cover everything in New York, and some of those teams I'm a fan of, and many of them not. But we cover it, and Dan is very, very knowledgeable and a great guy. So, we're at the joys of pushing change, right? And if I get sued, you have a contributor that a lawyer. Oh God, Kyrie hasn't sued me yet for defamation, for slander. I don't know, which is libel is in writing, right? So I can't write that well. He's not going to sue me for that. But I guess slander is if it's verbally spoken. And I guess I've slandered. But if it's true, it's not slander, right? If I can prove what I say about Kyrie, it's not slander. Anyway, let's see what else we got. We got a couple other comments as we chat here. Alan talks a year in the Big 14, right? Another league that can't count. We're going to be Big 12, Big 10. None of these teams have the right number. Pac-12. We're going to have. Don't look at the numbers on your leagues, guys, because it's not going to help you. Commissioner plans on rebranding the conference. I did see that. You mean not be the Big 14 or the Big 12? Rick Sherlock, good evening. What are all the talking heads saying that Notre Dame is the most important piece still waiting to fall? It is. We talked about it last week. There's no way Notre Dame is not, first of all, if they went to an 18 playoff, Notre Dame would really be compelled to go to a conference, even more so than they might be now. I mean, the only way Notre Dame's not going to a conference soon, probably by 26, is if there's NBC or some other network or streaming service or whatever ponies up, between $75 and $100 million and ups their TV contract from around, 25 to 30 million right now, which is pretty strong when you're the only one getting it. But as we talked about last week, you're looking at 65 or 70 million by going to the Big Ten. And you've got to have a path to the college football playoff. So if they were to go to 8 teams, Notre Dame's really going to get pinched because they only got 2 chances to get in that way. So good call. I think a 16. Now let me ask you, Kenny, as you say that, which version of the 16-team tournament do you like? I still like, especially with everything that's going on. And this would penalize these, and I don't. That's why I don't know if we'll ever get it passed, but you might. the version that has 10 automatic bids, and every conference will have a representative. Every FBS conference will have a representative. And then you get 6 at-larges. That's one I favor. What do you favor, Kenny? Remember, I guess the other option right now is 6, depending on how you want to slice it up. 6 automatic bids and 10 at-larges. I still like the 10 automatic bids. Now, the thing is, the teams, the people that get to vote on it are the power conferences, and they're not going to want to let these guys in. They'll let the highest ranked team in, but they want to gobble up the rest, especially the Big Ten and the SEC. And there's really no incentive unless the Pac-12, and hopefully they vote while there's still a Pac-12 and an ACC. If the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 really want to stick it to the other 2 guys, and Notre Dame, by the way, because they have a vote. So there's 6 votes. They could stick it to the Big Ten and the SEC by voting on the 16 teams and 10 automatic bids. Not sure it's going to happen because they also hurt themselves. They lessen the chance that they can get themselves multiple bids into this tournament. Kenny's not sure. I think the top 4, then you grab all you can. So you're saying the top 4. Well, in that case, you're saying top 4 seeds. Doesn't matter the conference, top 4 rated teams. So the top 4 could include 2 from the SEC, like it does today, often, or another league. And the rest would be at large, which almost is saying all of them are at large in a way. But I don't know. I still like giving those little guys a shot. That's what makes the NCAA basketball tournament so much fun. And I know you're going to say, "Oh, nobody, Coastal Carolina could never beat Alabama in a first round game." Maybe, and they play 100 times, they probably would beat them 99. But that one time would be exciting, wouldn't it? No 16 had ever beat a 1 in basketball till a couple years ago when Virginia lost to UCMB, the 16 seed. So it could happen. And that's what's exciting about these types of tournaments, when David gets a chance to beat Goliath. Look, he's going to get slaughtered a lot. I get it. But you know what? It would be interesting to see. Alan, 14 team play, 14 teams. Then you got, I don't even know if 14 works mathematically. I mean, well, anything would. I guess you got to get the right number of buys the first time. But let's see what he's got to say here. Make it like the NFL. Too many teams in the NFL. I don't want to make it like the NFL. Let's not make college football like the NFL. And I don't want to make the NFL like college football. Anyway, let me give you the benefit of the doubt here. Top 2 ranked teams get buys. The rest have to play the top 14. I'll say it's so it's a 16-team playoff. I get it. Should have read the whole thing first. And play a March Madness style round 1, which I like a lot. Lowest seed left plays number 1 seed, second lowest team. Not a bad idea. That would work too, I guess. Kenny's on the yes trail. Coastal will be tough this year. Quarterback Heisman potential. I agree. I certainly agree. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch Coastal Carolina play. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch a couple teams play, that aren't your normal. And we'll take a look at that maybe here in a little bit when we're talking about the schedules, if we get to that. Maybe some of the lesser-known teams that are going to be exciting to watch this year. Texas San Antonio is one of them, by the way. And I really wanted to get the Army to see them, and we're done, guys, because the only 2 weeks I can possibly go, and especially where we could play golf, Kenny, would be September 3rd, and I've got I think I have a wedding, and October 1st, and there's a baby being born most likely that weekend. Not to me, but to my stepdaughter. So My bonus daughter, I should say. We don't like to say that. She calls me her bonus dad, and I like that. So Alan wants a season of chaos like 2007. Look at, there's been a few. 2007 was certainly one. The college football's had a lot of those types of seasons. And look at, for people who think going to 16 teams would lessen the importance of the regular season, and I know we've had that conversation on this show, I don't think it's true. Just think about it now. When November starts, and Kirk Ferentz from from Iowa said this the other day. Right now you got 4 teams, and once you get to November, it's like the top 12 teams are all that gets talked about. There's a lot of important, great stories in college football that are being ignored once they start their weekly playoff shows. So if you go to 16 teams, you're going to have 30, 35 teams that are going to be being talked about on a weekly basis with a chance to get to the playoff. Maybe more, depending on the conference races, right? It would be exciting. That would be exciting, and there would be chaos, Alan, and I think college football would benefit from it, especially with everything that's going on with realignment. Putting this type of juice back into college football, I think would really help it a lot, because I think we're heading for a couple of seasons of, to me, not exciting football. Because if you're going to have these 2 super conferences and the playoff is going to be dominated by teams from the SEC and the Big Ten, well, what's the point of playing the regular season? That's my point. Alan might get to see UTSA play. They play in Norman for the season opener. I did see that. That'll be an interesting game. Listen, they better not take them too lightly when they come to Norman, because this is a good football team and a really good coach in Coach Trailer, I believe his name is. I might be saying that wrong, but we'll take a look at it if we can. Let me see. I can tell you right now. What is his name? I think I got it right. That'd be really interesting, wouldn't it, if I got one right? Just one. Gee, one time. Where's Texas? There would be. Alan's probably already got it up there before I get there. Where'd they go? UTSA? There they are, the Roadrunners. Jeff Trailer. Look at me. How about that? I got a name right. So proud of myself. Oh, God. What else you got here? Alan, who remembers that? I can still remember 2007. The problem is, Kenny, it feels like it was yesterday. And I don't remember yesterday. I remember 2007. Why not just do what Division II does as a playoff? Yeah, I don't. Again, I think Division II takes 16 teams, don't they? And I think, I'm not sure how they do it. Let's take a quick look, Kenny. What do you say? NCAA Division II football playoffs. Let's see how they play this. I don't think the conferences come into play. I think it's all the highest ranked teams, which I'm not crazy about. Because again, I want to give who won, where is, I don't want that. I want to know how they do it. Now, I guess I'm not going to find it this quick. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they do it by rankings. Let's just say there's 12, 16, probably 16 teams. But I think it's the top 16 teams in the country, and I don't know that I like that. Because I don't, what I'm trying to avoid, and what the conference is trying to put into play, is I don't want to see 6 Big Ten teams and 6 SEC teams and then 4 other guys, and Notre Dame and 3 other guys. I don't want to see that every year. Yeah, a couple teams will sneak in there, but I just don't think it's going to be what we want to see. I certainly do. Appalachian State beating Michigan for a point. Kansas had their 15 minutes of fame. 8 weeks of number 2 seeds losing. West Virginia is a last big season in the Big East. Yeah, that was an exciting season. That was pretty much the beginning of the end of the Big East as people started to trail out. LSU losing two triple overtime games and still winning the national title. If I'm not mistaken, didn't they win like 6-3 over Alabama or something in the championship game? I could be wrong, Alan, but I do remember. I think there was that might have been the season. Maybe I got my seasons mixed up. That might have been later on. I think they lost. I think they played Alabama back-to-back games, SEC championship game and the national championship game in one of those years. Mr. Simon would be proud. I don't know that he ever would have been proud of me, but that's a different story. Wrong team. It's UTEP, not UTSA. What are you talking about? The team you like, Carlos? UTSA is a team that was going great guns under Jeff Traylor last year. Now, you could be telling me that you like UTEP better than Texas San Antonio, but that's fine. I know who I'm talking about. What was their record last year? Do I have the schedules up here? Here we go. Oh, let's see. Where are we going? Conference USA? UTSA, 12-2. UTEP, 7-6. So you must be talking about potential, because the exciting team from last year that I'm talking about is Texas San Antonio. LSU beat Ohio State that year. Yeah, that's right. Saban was still in Miami. Good point. Week 1 matchup, we play UTEP. I see. So. Who was that? Who said that? Carlos? Did I say Carlos? Where was I? I thought Carlos was in here. That's so funny, Alan. I got to apologize. I called you Carlos. You did tell me UTSA earlier, didn't you? Or am I losing my mind that close? Am I that close to losing my mind? I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, back to the playoff. Yeah, okay, we got that right. Anyway, back to the playoff. This is back on the table, guys. I mean, who thinks? Do you think it'll happen early? I don't know if it will or not. I just don't think they can get, because they're not going to come to an agreement on the format. I cannot see any way 5 conferences and Notre Dame all agree on 8, 12, 16, 24, whatever number it might be. Not going to be more than 16. Probably. I can't see any way they do it, and so that would allow them to get out of this early. I guarantee it, the ACC and the Pac-12 are kicking themselves in the butt now for not voting yes and twisting the Big Ten's arm to get this playoff expanded sooner. And the Big Ten probably, if they knew for sure they were bringing in USC and UCLA, they would have wanted it expanded too back then. So I'm pretty sure in hindsight this would have happened. With a little bit of, if you could see the future and know it was going to happen, these teams would have voted yes. What do you got here? The ultra inside. No, isn't that awful? Alan, I cannot apologize enough, and you're certainly not the Mad New Yorker. You're the Mad Sooner. The Mad Boomer Sooner. Will have taken over for him on Fridays before. You have. Alan has filled in for the Mad New Yorker before on Friday mornings. Yeah, I didn't get along with that one particular teacher too well myself. I think there's also some other stories that could not be told here on this show about and then I would have a slander problem, right? So we won't do that. All right, what else? What else you guys got? Let's see, where are we going to go next? So we talked about Arch Manning. Let's talk about, let's swing around the college football. You know what? A thing I saw an article. Let's jump into this. There's an article here about Kenny. What do you think of the Fighting Irish's Irish channel, the Hangover uniform reveal? They've got a new uniform. I don't know if this is just for one game or not. I'm not a big fan of it. It's all white and gold with shamrocks. What looks like shamrocks on the jersey. I don't know if I'm a big fan of it or not. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the 2022 football schedules. Who's got the hardest slate? Who's got the easiest, and kind of some stuff in between. I'm stealing this now from ESPN, and we'll go through this and maybe make some comments on what their judgments are here. So, and feel free to jump in here at all. You don't care about uniforms, I want wins. Well, that's a good attitude to have. I agree. One of the big problems I have with, there's too many teams that get away from their traditional colors just to sell jerseys. Everybody's got to have a black version of their jersey just so we can sell more of them. Black sells. So, it can be a money grab, and it drives me nuts. And I like tradition. I like it when Notre Dame wears the green jerseys, which isn't that often. Toughest Power 5 schedule overall. It's a handful of schools that can make cases here. This is according to ESPN, including Auburn, Georgia Tech, Indiana, LSU, Mississippi State, Stanford, Vanderbilt. But for the second straight year, Arkansas has the hardest schedule in the country, according to ESPN, with 5 games against top 25 teams. The Hogs are one of 5 Power 5 teams, including Georgia Tech, Oregon, Stanford, and Texas Tech, that have 2 non-conference games against ranked opponents. Ranked in the preseason. Let's remember, ranking these schedules is obviously hinged on having preseason rankings, which are, we talk about them because we've got to, but they're useless. Let's see. Who have they got? They've actually got number 23 Cincinnati at home. They've got number 19 BYU on the road in October. And they open with Cincinnati, by the way, September 3rd. Then in the 3 weeks leading up to BYU trip, Arkansas's got number 5 Texas A&M, number 1 Alabama, and Mississippi State on the road. Throwing a trip to Auburn in October 29th, and the Hogs play a stretch where there's 4 of 5 games away from home. That's a tough schedule right there. And you know what? The SEC teams, to give credit where credit is due, are SEC elitists among this group. I don't know if there's any of you here. Oh, Rick, a little bit. Rick's a Georgia fan. I wouldn't call Rick, I don't think. And if you want to describe yourself as such, Rick, that's okay. I wouldn't call Rick an SEC elitist. He likes his Georgia Bulldogs, but, he's not an SEC elitist like some other people that do participate in our show. And we're glad they do, because it brings up some good conversation. That's a tough schedule. I can't argue that. Oregon started at, so I don't know that they started it, Kenny, to be honest with you, but they certainly took it to a new level. That's for sure. I mean, it's through the years, I swear there's been seasons that Oregon has not worn the same combination of helmet, jersey, and pants any 2 games. Maybe they still won't ever, and by the way, they're atrocious on top of it. How people buy those, I don't get, and how the players can't feel like clowns in them, and some of them. I mean, their basic uniform colors are not horrible. If they're useless, then why do we talk about them? Because they're out there and we have to. I mean, I don't disagree, and it is a bit hypocritical to put them down and then talk about them. But for me to be able to talk about ESPN's ranking of the easiest and toughest schedules, I've got to refer to something, right? I suppose we could leave the rankings out and just give the teams, because we know we have an idea who will be better than other teams. So your point is certainly taken, Kenny. Who's got the easiest? This is, again, remember, this isn't me. I'm just making some comments on ESPN's rankings of the easiest and hardest. So the easiest, and it's only fair that a couple of first-year coaches draw the easiest schedules. Mike Elko takes over at Duke, and they finished 3-9 last year, remember. They inherit a schedule that includes just 2 top 25 opponents. But the nod here at ESPN goes to first-year coach Tony Elliott at Virginia, who will face just 1 preseason top 25 team. Sorry about that. In number 15, Pittsburgh. By the way, I would argue that this schedule is even easier than ESPN's talking about, because I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be number 15 when it's all over. So I guess we could talk about, and maybe we'll do that. We can go down. Who's that? Thanks, Paula. You're welcome. You're welcome, Kenny. We could actually go through the top 25, because then I have some interest in it. We go through the top 25, and maybe we'll do it after this. I don't even know if I have. Yeah, I can pull it up. We'll go through it, and we'll see who we think will finish higher or lower than where they're ranked in the preseason, and whether they even finish in the top 25. I'll give you my take on all of them. Easiest Power 5 schedule, we said, no. They're saying it's Virginia, because the best team they face all year, they say, is at home, and it's Pittsburgh, who, again, I do not think will be in the top 25 by the time the season's over. They also avoid the ACC's 2 best teams in Clemson and North Carolina State. I would argue that Miami is among those top 2 teams. I would drop North Carolina State a spot. And they've got a cushy non-conference schedule that features just 1 road game at Illinois, and Illinois is not a power by any sense of the word. So, it's possible that Virginia could have a very strong showing in Tony Elliott's first season based on this schedule. Now, we don't know. Now, they do get Miami at home. They do get North Carolina at home. And those teams could be better than expected. At least better than apparently ESPN is expecting them to be. What do you got here, Kenny? Kenny's talkative tonight. Is LSU ranked? All right, let's find out. Hold on. College football preseason rankings. Let's see who we want to use here. I'm going to use. Who do I want to use? Where's ESPN? ESPN. This is from May 19th, by the way, guys. Is LSU ranked? I don't think they should be. This one's too hard to look at. I need something a little more condensed than that. Let's go to. There won't be that much difference. Let's look at. Here we go. Oh my gosh, what the heck is going on here, man? Top 25 linebackers. Who the hell wants that? SI usually does a pretty good job. Let's go to SI. Okay. Boy, they cannot do this easy. All I want is a straight list. I don't want to dive into a bunch of freaking stuff, man. Come on. Just give me the teams. Talk amongst yourselves here. I'm trying to get there, buddies. AP, all-time preseason. All-time preseason. What the hell? Oh, my God. Isn't this ridiculous? All I want is the preseason rankings. That's all I want. You can do it, guys. Give them to me. Oh, you're killing me. Here, this one's easier. All right. Is LSU ranked? Kenny says no. LSU is not ranked in the top 25. We're going to go through this real quick in a second. Let's take a look. I want to finish up this article here. Most interesting schedule. BYU's final schedule is an independent, as highlighted by an October 8th trip to Vegas to take on Notre Dame at Allegiant Stadium. Why are they playing in Vegas? God, that's a good game, though. BYU is going to have a pretty good team this year. They have most years they've got a very representative team, if not better. And Notre Dame, important year this year under their first-year head coach. So that's a big game for Notre Dame in their quest to be in the playoff. The next week, they return home to play Arkansas, as we talked about earlier. Which they call it the Irish hog swing. It's not very funny. They're going to play South Florida and Tampa. Then they fly back across the country the next week to face Liberty and Lynchburg, while making trips to a pair of Pac-12 venues to play Oregon September 17th. And they also play Baylor at home, and they play Stanford. That's the other Pac-12 team. So that's an interesting schedule. Plus, they got Boise State. You know, BYU's got a really good schedule here for their last independent season. They lose one game, they're going to be pretty highly ranked. Toughest Power 5 non-conference schedule. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's going to be terrible, so who cares? This is what I'm interested in. Toughest group of 5 non-conference schedule. They call it Kent State. They play on the road at Washington, Oklahoma, Georgia, all in the month of September. That's pretty bold scheduling by Kent State, I'll tell you. And Sean Lewis is the coach there, and he's really they've got a decent team in Kent State. That's pretty bold. They win one of those games, Kent State could set themselves up for a national ranking. And by the way, who wants to guess how much money Kent State will pocket for that 3-game stretch in September? I'll go to some of your comments. We'll go to the rankings here next. No, I want to finish. Actually, I got one more to do. So somebody, while I finish this up, post in the comments, what do you think Kent State will pocket for those 3 games in September against Washington, Oklahoma, and Georgia, all on the road? So they're getting paid. They're getting a payday to go maybe get their butts kicked or maybe put themselves on the map. The easiest Power 5 non-conference schedule, Michigan and UCLA. Neither team faces a Power 5 opponent in non-league games. The Wolverines, coming off their first playoff appearance, they're not diving headfirst into the season. They open the season with Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn. Michigan State easily will be 3-0 after 3 games. And it's the first time in 78 years they won't play a non-conference game against a current Power 5 member or Notre Dame. That's pretty bad. And they say dishonorable mention goes to Ole Miss, which opens up. They load up on Troy, Central Arkansas, Tulsa, and Georgia Tech before jumping into league play. Lane Kiffin making sure he gets off to a good season. I got one more I want to get through, I think. Can't think of a good nickname for you. I will think of something, Alan. Alan Longhorn Perez. Well, it's Perez, but that's fine. I can't accept that. LOL, Horns. That's a good point. I don't think Horns can be in there. And Kenny laughs. The Guru of the Southwest. That's an interesting one. 3 million? Nope. Any other takers on how much Kent State will pocket for trips to, what'd I say, Washington, Oklahoma, and Georgia, the first 3, all in the month of September. I don't know if it's the first 3 weeks or not. Before I give you the answer, I will continue down here. The toughest open for the season. Kent State is pretty tough. I don't know how you're going to beat that. Georgia Tech, they open against Clemson. Then they got a short week. They play Western Carolina. Then they got Ole Miss. Then they got UCF. That's not harder than Kent State. Sorry. I'm not sure where they're coming up with that. Toughest team to close the season? Mississippi State. The month of October. Texas A&M, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Alabama. That's a rough stretch for Mississippi State. They're going to have a tough start. Is there anything else here that interests me? Must-see non-conference games. This will be a good one to take a look at. Texas opens against Alabama. That's one of the best, and that's going to be in here with the best must-see. The must-see non-conference games. Utah at Florida. Utah's season could hinge on this. Utah wins this game at Florida, and they've got a game with BYU, I think, too, during the season. Utah, we looked at the schedules before. Utah could go undefeated and put themselves in position to be considered for one of those 4 spots. They're going to have to go undefeated to have a chance. Any Pac-12 team is not getting there with 1 loss. Other non-conference games, obviously Notre Dame and Ohio State. That's the opener for those 2 teams. Alabama at Texas. Texas is going to get killed. I'm just telling you right now. Miami at Texas A&M, a game I'm looking forward to greatly. We'll find out just how good Miami is, and I think Miami's going to be very good this year. I think Van Dyke's going to be a finalist for the Heisman with a chance to win it, and I think that Marco Cristobal is really going to have an impact on turning this team's fortunes around. You've also got Michigan State at Washington. Depends on Washington. If they rebound from their past couple of seasons, that could be a pretty good game, but we'll have to see. Penn State at Auburn. Last year they played at College Station, and they played a very tight football game. Auburn would look like a good team at that point, and they ended up losing their last 6 games, as we all know. But that was a very good football game in September last year, and there was some controversial calls with some of the better players on each team, I think, being tossed for targeting calls. Clemson at Notre Dame. That'll be a good game. That's in November. And then, of course, Notre Dame at USC. That game is going to depend on, how quickly USC can rebound against USC can rebound with Lincoln Riley as their coach. Do I care about any of these other games? You got Jimbo and the Jimbo and Saban Bowl. As Texas A&M goes to Auburn on October 8th. You got a Big East reunion when West Virginia visits Pittsburgh, the backyard brawl, which is a long time rivalry, and they were big foes in the Big East for a long time. Clemson is going to be playing in-state rival South Carolina, November 26th. Army. We like to talk about the service academies here, and Army's had a great run of seasons here under Jeff Moncton. 3 of Army's 4 true road games are in the South, playing at Coastal Carolina, Kenny's favorite dark horse, which that's a good test for Army, and probably a good test for Coastal Carolina. They also play at Wake Forest and at Troy. They could win 2 of those 3 games potentially. And in the Hoops Heavens game, Kansas has a home game against Duke. So unless a basketball game breaks out, that game's not going to be terribly interesting. Let's see. Do we get any other takers here? Retiring. Oklahoma at Nebraska. That's a good one. Bedlam, second to last week of the season. That's always a great one. We were going through some of the non-conference games, and some of the good games. They don't list it here, but look at the Red River rivalry is always a good one. Bedlam's a good one. Again, reasons I don't want to see these the continued realignment of college football, so we don't lose these rivalries. We had no other takers. Keep an eye on West Virginia. You told me that in basketball. I don't know if I'm buying it down. We'll see. Got to play the season. $5.2 million, Kenny, is what Kent State will pocket for that gauntlet of games they've got to go on the road for. And by the way, another argument against these super conferences, you won't get those. Kent State won't get those paydays, right? Other schools like Kent State will not get those paydays because look at you go to 10. Another reason, and that's why Notre Dame also will end up having to go to a conference, because as these leagues get better and they start playing 10 conference games, not going to be any room for non-conference games. Maybe at Kent State will still get their paydays. Notre Dame's not going to get their schedule. That's going to be a problem. Let's do what I said. I promise you that we'd go through this. Let's try to debunk. Let's see if we can debunk the top 25. And I know there's a delay, so it's going to be a little difficult. So I'll probably have to go back and forth a little bit. Let's go through the top 25 quickly. And you tell me whether this team is rated too high, too low. And if you want to throw, the not ranked at all in there, whatever, or national championship contender, you want to put a little editorial comment to it, do it. But we'll go team by team, and you tell me whether these teams deserve their ranking or they don't. Say whatever you want. Higher or lower, I guess. Higher means better ranking, by the way. Lower means worse. Penn State, number 25. This is by the College Football News, by the way, which is a very reputable publication. So I think we can trust this. You'll see other rankings out there. Penn State Nittany Lions, 25. I'm not a big James Franklin fan. Anybody who watches my shows knows that. I don't think he does as much with the talent that he has as he probably should. But I think 25 might be low for Penn State. I think they're going to finish probably in the top 15. They'll falter at the end of the year like they always do. So maybe they finish in the top 20. But I think they're better than 25. And I will, as I said, I'll be looking for your comments. And I'll do 5 and then I'll go back and look. Florida, 24. I'm going to say Florida is overrated here. Billy Napier's first season in Florida. I think the cupboard's fairly bare. Dan Mullen did not do a good job of recruiting. That's why he's not the coach there anymore. And I think it's going to take a little time to build this back up. I think Florida finishes outside the top 25. Kentucky, number 23. Too low. This team is a good football team with a really good football coach in Coach Stoops. This team is going to finish somewhere around the top 10. They could finish in it if the top 10 if things break right. But I think they're definitely going to be around 10, 11, 12. So this is way too low in my mind for Kentucky. 22, BYU. I'm going to say too low again. I think this is a top 15 program. Watch, I'll end up with 20 teams in top 15, right? And before I take a break and look at some comments, Texas, number 21. I'm going to say that's too high, and Texas finishes outside of the top 25. Tough schedule, guys. Exactly. Scheduling's why BYU had to join the Big 12. They got a good schedule this year, as we just talked about. But going forward, that's going to be very tough to put a schedule like that together. I got to know who you're talking about, though. I'm assuming you're talking about Penn State. I think higher. I think you're talking about Penn State, Allen. I'll say he says not ranked. Penn State needs to be higher. I agree. Kentucky. I think, Kentucky had some talent last year. This team runs the football very well. Their quarterback is experienced. they do lose one of their top wide receivers who went in the first round of the draft. But the coach, the defense, the running game, I think this team is much better than 23. There you go. 25 too high, 24 too high. What was that, 24? Well, we agree there. 23 too low. Oh, wait. Yeah, too low. 22 too low, and 21 way too high. Who was that? Who was that, by the way? Texas, yeah. I agree. Oh, you got BYU, though, too high, right? Oh, too low. Okay, good. Well, we're close. We agree pretty much there, Alan. So any other comments we can certainly catch up on when I come back. Let's go now to 20 through 16. Tennessee Volunteers, number 20. This team's got a chance. Now, unfortunately, they're in the news for some issues that could derail this program for a little bit because of a coach who's no longer there. Jeremy Pruitt, the team's facing a bunch of NCAA violations that took place under his regime. So I think Tennessee better make hay this year because they could be facing some sanctions that are not Josh Heupel or anybody on his team, most likely's fault, which is one of the things I hate about NCAA sanctions. You know, Jeremy Pruitt will get away scot-free, and the team he left, the program he left behind will pay the price. But anyway, I think Tennessee is about right at 20. Could creep up a little higher, but I think they're about right at 20. Baylor, 19. I'm going to say Baylor is going to be, I think that's about right for Baylor. I think Baylor might be a little overrated this year. I like Oklahoma State a lot in that conference. Iowa at 18. I think Iowa's lower or higher. I'm sorry, lower. I don't see them finishing. I think they're more in around the 20s. They've got a tough schedule, and Kirk Ferentz, who was a great coach, I love the guy. I look at he's one of the longest, or maybe the longest tenured coach in FBS college football. But he just doesn't put a dynamic offense out there, and that tends to hurt him every year. Houston at 17, too high. I think Houston's going to be one of the more overrated teams this year. I think Houston finishes outside the top 25. Arkansas at 16, I think that's probably about right. Good job. Sam Pittman did a great job last year. We got a well-deserved extension. I think it's going to be tough for them to do much better than that 16 ranking. But that's nothing to be ashamed of, playing a very tough schedule in the SEC, considering where they've been before last year. Tennessee too high just because Carlos likes them. I think Tennessee's got to put it together this year, because if they don't, like I said, it could be there could be a long couple years for Josh Heupel, and you may see him jump ship if they get seriously sanctioned. What do you got, Alan? Tennessee too high, mid-20s. I think 20 is about right for them, but I won't argue that point too much. I know you love Baylor. You got them in the top 10, making a big jump. I think they're about overrated, and they're going to fall back into kind of where they are, or maybe a bit lower. Iowa, about right. Yeah, again, I can see them there or a bit lower. Houston, too low, top 15. I disagree here. I think Houston's going to have a tough time following up last year's success, and the pressure is going to be a little bit ramped up because of Cincinnati's success last year, I think, on this Houston team. And it's going to be a matter of how they handle that. And I just think they're going to finish out at top 25, because I think SMU, and one of the reasons I say that is I think SMU is going to be better than people think. And that's what's going to hurt Houston, because they're not going to win the AAC. So that's kind of my thinking on that one. Arkansas was Arkansas was my dark horse last year, and they played very, very well early in the season, right? They beat Texas A&M. They beat Texas. They had a classic game against Ole Miss. that went to overtime. If you like offensive football, it was a classic anyway. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with them finishing 16th in the country. I think that's very, very, very reasonable and a good showing. Let's go 15 through 11. Utah, 15. Way too low. Way too low. This team, I'm going to tell you right now, top 5. Top 5. You heard it here first. Utah finishes in the top 5. Oregon, 14. I think that's too high for them. I think they fall back into, the late teens. I just don't think that they're that good. And I think in this year, if they get a chance to play them in a championship game, guys, where'd I go? What'd you hear last time? I'm back. Oh, God, did you guys hear anything I said? I will do, I can go back here now and get your comments because I missed some of these. Tennessee, we said that, right? Tennessee, we did that. Rick says Arkansas. I thought I missed some. Okay, I just froze. I don't know what you heard. I'll go real quickly through my what I do. What was I doing? 15 through 11. I said Utah, way too low. They're going to be in top 5. So if I froze, let me make sure I'm not froze now so you can hear this clearly. Top 5 for Utah. You heard it here first. Oregon, 14. I think they fall back from that a little bit. And I think Utah will handle business against Oregon. And I think they'll probably lose to USC. But I think Utah could potentially face Oregon twice again this year. But Oregon will lose both those games and finish, in the bottom, maybe past 15 a little bit. North Carolina State, maybe about right at 13, could fall back a couple of spots. Again, not awful for North Carolina State in that program to finish in the top 20 at all, in any event. Ole Miss, I had said, is going to have a tough time having to replace a lot of players. Lane Kiffin did a good job in the portal, as he always does, but you got to replace one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I think it's going to be very hard for them to match last year's success. As much as I do love Lane Kiffin. I think this team might fall back a little bit, but they'll still be a top 20 team, but I don't think they'll finish as high as 12. Oklahoma, I think is about right at 11. I think Oklahoma State wins that conference. I know Allen thinks it'll be Baylor. We'll see. So hopefully you guys are still with me. I don't have any comments. Here we go. Utah. Top 10. Top 5. That's my hot take. Top 5 for Utah. Oregon just right. Yeah, I won't argue that. I think I'll fall back a little bit, but NC State too high. I do have them falling back from where they are as well. Ole Miss too high just because of, again, the players they need to replace. I do think they'll be ranked. Oklahoma, top 5. What a homer. Just kidding. Your Utah take froze the stream. Yeah, I froze the internet. I broke the internet with my Utah prediction. Top 5 possible playoff team. Continue to post. I'll move on to 10 through, we'll go to 10 through 6. Oklahoma State, number 10. I'll stick with that. I think that's a good spot for them. I do think they win the Big 12, but I don't think the Big 12 is going to be that good this year. And I think the winner of this division, or I'm sorry, this conference will be around 10, 9. Michigan State, number 9, too high. I think they have a tough time matching last year's success. And I'm going to say it's possible Michigan State falls out of top 25. Now, we know this in this top 25, there's going to be 2, 3 teams don't finish in the top 25 probably. And there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that aren't ranked here, and I'm going to give you one before we're done that will finish there. USC, too high. 8, too high. I see this team finishing in the 20s. I just don't think Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams and the kid from Pittsburgh, the wide receiver, his name's escaping me, are going to be able to make up for what might be a poor defense. And I just don't think USC is going to make that big a jump in 1 year, year 1 under Lincoln Riley. Top 20, I'll give it to you. Top 8, no. Michigan, 7. I'm going to say just about right. And you know why? The cupcakes I gave you at the beginning. They're going to get off to a 3-0 start. They may lose to Ohio State. If that's their only loss, they finish 7. Number 6, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'm going to say this is too high for them. Too high. Notre Dame, maybe number 12, number 11. I think Notre Dame's going to have a couple losses, and they finish, top, whatever, maybe 10, 11, 12. I'm still broke the internet with my top 5 selections. I'll wait for a couple. So what are your guys' thoughts on that before I go to my top 5? Alan, I know you're typing away. Oklahoma State, just right. That's what I said. But you've also got Oklahoma going up in the top 5, so obviously you think they're going to win the conference. Michigan State, too high, upper 20s. I got them falling all the way out. USC, way too high. Not ranked. That's, I almost said not ranked, and it's possible I will, before the season starts, I might even go there. I'm going to do my own top 25 probably the week before the season starts. Since everybody does it. You know what? I probably shouldn't. I'm really a hypocrite if I put my own top 25 out there, right? What else you got? Michigan, top 10. I said, it could be. Look at 7, 8, 9, 10. Depends on what happens. If they only lose Ohio State, they'll probably finish, above 10. Notre Dame, top 10. Again, I got them around 10. You can do a top 25, Alan. Absolutely. Bring it next week. I'll review it on this show. Well, we still got, time to review such things. We'll do it. Maybe I'll do one anyway. Maybe I'll be a total hypocrite and do a top 25. Let's get to the top 5 here. Number 5, Texas A&M. Nope. I think 5 is where Clemson finishes. They're number 4 right now. I think Texas A&M may fall out of the top 10. Clemson, I think will finish 5 or 6. Georgia, I think is too high, Rick. Number 3, lost a lot. I understand they're deep, but they're inexperienced in a lot of positions. You got an experienced quarterback, which helps. I think just a little bit back, 5, 6, 7, not in a playoff. Ohio State, I'm going to put them number 1. Alabama, I'll probably put number 2 for now. When my rankings come out myself, I'm going to have something different. But I'm going to tell you a couple of teams that did not. Go ahead and you get your comments out here while I give you a couple. Mets beating the Yankees. Good grief. Your twin on the Mets is on second. Who's that? I can't see it. Hold on, Rick. I'll have to get the game on here. Now you're going to make me turn the game on. I hope it's on yes so I can find it quick. Get your comments up here, guys, so that I can finish and tell you who my. I'll probably never see the guy. Who's playing second? Is it McNeil? Jeff McNeil? No, he doesn't look like me. The poor guy. He's my twin. Don't sell them short again this year. Listen, I hate to because, listen, Kirby Smart did a great job last year. You know, and everybody doubted him. Not you, Rick. I know a lot of people doubted him when they lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game. But Kirby showed that he can coach in a big spot. Texas A&M, top 15. I'm with you. Clemson, top 5. I've got them 6 because I've got Utah in the number 4 spot. I'll give you my top 4 here in a second. I'll give you my top 10 quick. Nah, I'm going to wait. Georgia, top 10. I agree. Ohio State, playoff team. Alabama, playoff team. My playoff teams right this minute, Alabama, Ohio State, Utah, damn. I got a hard time with this 4th team, which is probably going to be the 3rd team in the country. Because I think Utah will be 4 and be the last team in. So I've either got to bump Clemson up. If I drop Georgia down, I got to bump either Clemson or Notre Dame up. Is anybody outside that I think, who did I say would make a big jump? Utah? No. I'm sure you've got Oklahoma in that playoff too, Alan. I just can't do it. Couple teams not ranked. I'm going to tell you right now, you know one team I'm going to throw at you right away. The Miami Hurricanes. Miami is going to be a top 15 team this year. New coach, new attitude, new approach. Heisman finalist, potential winner in Van Dyke at quarterback. And I just think this is a team that will turn it around quickly. There's talent there. They showed you in the last half last year. I think Miami surprises people, finishes in the top 15. I think Coastal Carolina, they weren't in here, were they? Let me check it out. I don't think they were. I think Coastal Carolina will slide into this top 25. So I got to drop a couple teams out. Right now I'm dropping I'm dropping Florida and I'm dropping Texas. If I got to put teams in, I got to take teams out, right? Those are 2 teams I can tell you right now I think will be in the top 25 that are not ranked right now. You guys can give me a couple of your own if you want. You want a real dark horse? Watch out for Texas San Antonio. Don't think they'll quite get there, but watch out. They'll probably spend some time in the top 25. San Diego State could surprise this year. Don't see anybody surprising in the Pac-12. And Kentucky's another team that could take a big jump. You know, it's another team that I could say would really surprise people in that top 10. So those are some of the teams I think could be ranked that are not right now. And I'll put together a comprehensive top 25 here before we get done. What do you got here? Final 4, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Miami. Look at you go, Alan. I love Miami to get to the top 15. to get to the playoff would be remarkable. Possible. Everything's got to break right? Got to go undefeated. It was similar to the Pac-12. If you're going to get in from the ACC, you're going to have to get there undefeated. So Clemson has to finish undefeated. Miami would have to finish undefeated. They're the only two teams that can get there. Wake Forest, as much as I love Larry Sorensen, the color analyst there and a great friend of the show, not enough defense. The guy from Pittsburgh. I don't know if I'm going to see him, Rick, but let me give it a shot here. Put up a couple comments as we wrap this show up. I got to get to the Yankees. Oh, they're not on yet. So how am I going to find them? This damn fucking. Guys are going to say bad words here in a minute. I can't get there. I'll have to check it afterwards, Rick, and I'll comment later. It's on ESPN. No, there it is right there. I didn't get a chance to turn it on before I started the show today, so we'll see what it said. Where's Michigan? I've got Michigan at I dropped them. I had Michigan at 7, 8, 9. Depends. If they lose one game in the Big Ten to Ohio State, they finish, near the playoff. If they lose 2 games, they're going to finish outside the top 10 maybe. All right. What else you guys got? Oh, great. I got a close-up of Aaron Boone. Aaron, get back in the dugout and manage the game. Jeepers creepers. All right. Who's left here with us tonight? I got Allen's. We don't need to have top 4s. I think we did a good job tonight, guys. We covered a lot of ground. Good feedback from you guys. I had a lot of fun as always. Rick, Alan, Kenny talkative tonight, Rick. He dropped off on it, so he must have fell asleep out there with his popcorn. I don't know if the Yankees are going to score off Scherzer here tonight. Ugly. What do you got here, Alan? Alan's top 10. Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Miami, Clemson, Baylor, Michigan, Utah, Oklahoma State, NC State. That's an interesting top 10. I'd love to see that Miami thing come true. I can tell you that right now. Because as we know, it's baseball season, but pretty soon, football. All right, anyway. Enough of that, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thank you, guys, for being such a great part of the show. Thanks to all the groups for letting me share. Special thanks again to Rick Friedman from the Sports Devotee group. I won't go through the whole name again. And it's been a fun time. We got football when I'm back in less than 30 days. I can do that math, Alan. You guys have a great night. Tango for TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Start It Up right on the Roku channel for the Northeast Streaming Sports.